Hello everyone, I'm Shiv Mathur. Today I will talk about human as a machine or the human design, understanding that we are a machine. So this is a very important aspect, and the point which I will like to bring out is because we are like a machine, we have certain operating characteristics and we have a certain operating range. And if we are not in that ideal operating range, ideal operating environment, how the performance of human and the machine will alter. I will talk about that. But before that, I will like to bring out that why are we like a machine? If you see every creation which is being created is actually a form. We are in a physical form. So we are a physical manifestation through material science. We are a physical manifestation of material science connected through consciousness. So we are all, it's connected consciousness. Consciousness is energy, and that's the cosmic energy, and everything in this world is connected through consciousness, and that's where the energy comes from. And the physical manifestation is just a form, and each form will have a certain specific purpose. What we see as a human or animals or birds all have different purpose. They appear to be living, but everything else, tree is also living. There is energy in every physical form, and all are connected through this consciousness. So if you realize that everything which you can see physically has some purpose, though what appears to be dead or immovable or non-functional also has certain purpose. Without purpose, nothing can be created, nothing will be created in this universe. So knowing that we only see what we see physically moving to be living. So if we have to understand there is a purpose for every form to be created, isn't it? Without purpose, it will not be created. Even when humans are creating something, like we create a car or we create all these machines, we created a computer, all that have a purpose. We don't create, even humans don't create. So we create, what we create is a subset of this creation. So we have intelligence, we can create. All living beings procreate their species. But if you see there, we also come to know that certain species got extinct because the ideal environment which was needed for them was taken away by humans, or whatever happens, the change in climate change and various changes on the planet. So some species become extinct. So this itself proves that every species is designed to sustain in a certain environment. And if suppose, imagine as a human, we are sustaining in a certain environment, we are able to adopt, but we also have a spectrum in which we can operate. We have a range in which we can operate. And like people die in extreme heat. Every year when there is extreme heat, those who are exposed to it, those who cannot protect, they die. Extreme cold, people die. And floods, people die. Because when the nature brings changes in the five elements in very different forms, whether it is the fire element or whether it is the water element, whatever element brings change, creates a change which makes the environment go beyond the range of the existence of the humans. So humans will be, those people who are exposed to that change will be wiped out. So this itself makes very clear that why there is a change. In fact, in my book, in Meditation Philosophy, I've clearly defined that, given analogy that how every device has so much similarity, like computer and humans also so much similar. Computer has a CPU which controls the entire computer. It has different peripheral units which are operating, and it has an input and there is output. Screen is output and keyboard is the input. Similarly, we have sensory organs as input devices, and we have the subconscious memory, and the memory as also acting as an input devices or a feedback or a source of data to take decisions for processing by the brain. And brain is a CPU, and then the brain processes and then brain has got two functions, voluntary, involuntary. Certain systems are running involuntarily, but they also can be disturbed if there is an environmental change which will impact the brain. So if you see on there is road rage in the summers. The road rage increases in the summers because people are already under the influence of extreme heat, and the behavior changes. In cold also the behavior changes. And I have been noticing that when I'm in the shower, I get good ideas. If I'm now it's warm, it's difficult to, you don't feel, like doing something. You become lazy. You tend to become lazy. In the winters, you tend to become lazy in the morning. You don't feel like getting up. In summers, the whole day, you don't feel like doing anything because the temperature is high. So why do we feel when the weather is nice, when there is a nice cool breeze, we feel nice? Why? Because the body is designed to be operating in that particular environmental range. And when there is something extreme, our brain stops functioning efficiently and effectively. It is influenced, it is impacted by these external factors, and that's why our behavior changes. And there is more aggression in certain areas, there is less aggression in certain areas. So there is definitely environmental effect, and that's why, because there is environmental effect, that's why I'm trying to tell that we are like machine. And when we are like a machine, then you have to really think, when we have an ability to think that why are we going wrong, what's impacting us, so what can be changed, and what are the external conditions which are impacting us, and why do we behave in a certain way. And then if we understand that, then we can actually try to control that, because when we give a feedback to the brain that you have to take into account these extreme external conditions. And then we have internal conditions. We have internal conditions where we have, that's our internal conditioning. One is external conditioning, there is internal conditioning. Internal conditioning is like the operating system on like our upbringing and the formative years. The conditioning which we go through is basically programming. We get programmed, and that's like an operating system, and based on that, so we get programmed, and we create an operating system which so many bugs, because a lot of things which have been patterns which have been embedded, the habits which have been created, a lot of bad habits have been created. So they are like bugs. So when we develop with bugs or bad habits, that's a kind of conditioning or program we have gone through. And because of those wrong conditioning, our performance as a machine is not perfect, and there are a lot of problems. And if you look at politicians look at the conditioning, look at the background they're coming from, and look what they do, because it's their background. They're mostly uneducated. They are pushed into this kind of a criminal environment, and not a very good environment. Compare them to scientists and teachers, professors, intellectuals, and educated people, and look at the way the mind works for politicians. So it's a conditioning, and that conditioning takes them into a certain direction. So they have created our own system. We have created so many professions which are actually not very well conditioned. The basic professions were very well conditioned, they were pretty well defined, but all the new professions, like in the wealth management, finance sector, what this sector was never existing, but now we have created this sector. And understand the brain of the people, how they conditioned and how they operate. The people who are into marketing, they are trying to sell something forcefully, they create narratives and they try to sell something which is not needed and good. That's the capitalist way of working, So if you see different sectors, different areas where people push themselves into due to their own conditioning. Like, it's not that somebody who goes into sales will become a scientist. That person has been conditioned differently. So what I'm trying to say, that we are like a machine, and we are a program. In our initial years, we are conditioned, and because of that conditioning, we operate in a certain way. And this is what needs to be understood at some stage in life. Like yesterday, I was seeing a video of someone in Kazakhstan who, at very young age, at 25, was very successful in a career and all, and suddenly realized because she did a lot of exploration, meeting people from different strata of the society. And she's something very wonderful. She found that nobody is happy. Politicians are not happy. All the elites are not happy. All the rich people are not happy. So she said, who's happy? They are all just trying to enact happiness, and they are all artificial. So who's happy? Who's living a simple life? She says, I see more happiness in the village. I see more happiness wherever there is simplicity, there is happiness. So the point is that we are creating an operating environment which is not suitable and conducive for the existence of the human being. Though we have capacity to expand, but then that expansion is also limited in that range which has been given to the humans to operate. So like, if you see people who do extreme hard work, physical hard work, their skin gets wrinkled. Their skin gets wrinkled. They get some physical problems later on in life. So extreme capacity building is also not good. Look at the people in big cities like New York. They are all running. Though you live in a good environment, there are certain good external factors which are helping you. But you have actually got drifted into running in a rat race on a runway. So you are actually, again, despite having a lot of positive external factors, you are trying to expand your capacity to make more money, and then you are overdoing. You are basically over processing. Like brain also has a limitation. Limitation in the sense, if you look at computer, it has got a certain processor, and the processor has a processing speed. Similarly, brain will also have certain processing speed. Brain also needs certain external factors and also certain discipline in terms of it also needs some rest. And if you don't give rest to the brain, if you over process the brain, if you do things more than what they are needed, obviously you're trying to expand your capacity beyond its limit, and you're not giving the kind of a break to the brain. Like if you keep your car running 24 hours, it's not good. And if you keep your brain running 24 hours, it's not good. Forget about sleeping in this. While sleeping also, brain has got certain functions. But when you are awake, and if your brain is all the time running, then it's not good. When there is no need, the brain should be resting that time. So if you are running the brain without any need, like most of our thoughts are useless thoughts, isn't it? So when most of the thoughts are useless thoughts, that means for that time when you're sitting, you don't have to be thinking something useless. And if you have multiple thoughts at a given point of time, if you are going through a turbulence, anxiety is the outcome of over processing of the brain. Because when the brain is being utilized, there is a energy which it needs to have to run it. For processing, there needs to be energy, and our energy center is, they say Kundalini, but Kundalini is just a name. But there has to be a source of energy in the body. It's like a battery which a computer has, or either you have a battery or you're connected to the power source. So similarly, we are connected to the power source, but the power source has got a rate of transmission of energy to us through our breathing. What all this pranayam happens is actually we alter the rate of breathing and draw more energy. But if you see, normally the energy which is coming to us is given to everyone at the same rate, and with that rate, the energy which you're storing has got certain amount, and that has to be used in a certain way. But if you overuse it, you will feel drained out. What is the feeling of drained out? Drained out is the energy which you needed for running the body has been reduced by your overthinking, and then you feel anxious, you feel depressed, and you don't know what's happening. So understand how the brain works and understand the science behind understand this human design. Understand that we are also like a machine, we are nothing else. Actually, if you really think deeply, we are only machine and connected through consciousness. We are nothing else. We are creating robots, but we are ourselves a robo. We are just a robo with certain intelligence. And what we can perceive, we say that is fact. What we don't perceive, what we cannot see, we don't know. So that's a different subject, that what can we perceive and what can... Actually, we don't know what we can perceive. We actually don't even know what all we can perceive. Have we expanded our mind? Have we expanded our vision? Our eyes are... all our sensors are operating in a certain range only. And beyond that range, whatever is there, we cannot perceive that. And then we call that as truth what we can perceive and what we cannot perceive. So we are not even agnostic. We actually deny what we don't know. We deny what we cannot perceive. So we should not be in a denial. If you say on Mars there is no life, because we couldn't perceive it through our sensors, which are limited in certain frequency range. So they will perceive only what range they see. If suppose there is some life existing on Mars which is beyond our perceptible range, operating frequency, so we will not come to know. We will remain invisible. We may be invisible to so many things. Even if you look, owls see in the night, we don't see in the night. So different species have different ability. So everybody has a different perception. There are some, they say that there are some species which can see much beyond what we can see. They can see the more depth, deeply into the cosmos. So it's all material science and a manifestation, and each thing has got a certain purpose. We really don't know that small insect, what is the purpose of that small insect. How do you know that? You didn't create it. You feel it's just an insect, but you just don't know what is the purpose of creation of that insect. So when we don't know, because we are not the creator, but we only can understand our own self. We can understand what are we created for. We can understand what operating range. This can be only understood by logical thinking, analysis, and this is what our Rishi Munis did in their tapasya, and they found a lot of answers. If you think logically, the whole creation can be slowly understood. Like today, if I am probably trying to understand this aspect of human design, human creation, and I think I am getting some clarity. Similarly, when these Rishis, Munis, they did a lot of observation, deep analysis. Like, what is science? Science is, it's a long drawn experiment. And then they consolidate the data and they analyze the data and they get answers. So science is like that. So Rishi, Munis, they did. If you study ants or any species, just observe them for maybe months, you will get a lot of answers. People did that, and then they found what the ants do, how do they live. But how much, the more you can want to understand different species, what will happen by understanding deeply each species, you will start getting some answers about the creation. You will start getting, you will start understanding why was this species created, why was this species created. And then you will start understanding the whole cosmic science. So it's very deep, and we don't have time for this because we have created so many unnecessary things in our life which are not needed. The most stupid thing humans have created is money. The most stupid thing people have created is the life based on money. So everybody is chasing money, but they have forgotten what life is about, what this creation is about. I think I have cleared a lot of things in this, and I hope you like it. Thank you.